to the first edition of IEEE B-HTC, and we are having a special track for women in engineering for the first time, and the track is on technology for women empowerment. We received more than 24 papers, but finally 15 papers have been selected for presentation, and we have received papers from various topics like hydronic farming, to eye tracker, to some for helping the women in various sectors. We have got very interesting papers, and we have 2 tracks. Today we'll have the session 1 with the 8 papers, and tomorrow we'll have session 2 of WA track with 7 papers. And I would like to say that our TPC chair was Dr. Annapurna Patel from Ramaya Institute of Technology, and our TPC vice chair was Supriya Kamtania from HP. And now this session will be chaired by Supriya Kamtania. A very warm welcome to Supriya, a very warm welcome to Dr. Jalaja, and also our student volunteer, Sri Raksha. Now over to Supriya. For then, Dr. Jalaja, would you like to add anything? Okay, over to Supriya. You can start the session.
Yeah, Sri Raksha, you want to talk about the general guidelines?
Yes, ma'am. I request all the presenters to follow these guidelines for smooth running of the session. The first one is, while joining the session, we request you to join through name and an underscore and a paper ID so that it will be easy for us to search your paper IDs. And the second point is the time allotted for presentation is 12 minutes, and for 3 minutes for any questioning and queries. And in case of any difficulties, please free to ping me in the chat box. I'll look after the issues and sort it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sri Raksha. So let's get started. The first paper ID we are looking for is paper ID 101, and authors are Sneha, Veena Desai, Prabhakar Man. Paper ID 101.
Yes, ma'am, they are here. I'm giving them a presenter rights, ma'am.
Yeah, will do. So paper ID 101 is about a survey on the effects of various meditation interventions on the overall performance of college students.
Ma'am, paper ID 101, I can't make them as a presenter. I request them to rejoin the session, ma'am.
Yeah, so I think we will move ahead to the next paper ID if they are available.
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Yeah, paper ID 115. Paper ID 115, Soft Robotics, a Bio-Inspired Revolution. Authors, please confirm if you are available. Anushka, Raghavendra, and Chetan.
Yes, ma'am, they are here. I have given them a presenter rights. They can present now, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, can I share screen now?
Yes, you can share the screen.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, your screen is visible. We can see. Please enter the presentation mode.
Is this okay, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Are we starting now? Good morning to the panel present here. I will be presenting our paper, Soft Robotics, a Bio-Inspired Revolution. A Bio-Inspired Revolution. My paper ID is 115 and the track is TS9. A special WiE track on technology for women empowerment. My name is Anushka Jemima, and my other authors include C. Raghavendran and Dr. Chetan H. We will now be talking about the contents of my paper. We have the introduction, a literature survey, types of fabrication methods we have selected, the comparative analysis, a discussion on the above, and then a conclusion. First, I'll be getting into the introduction. Now, a robot can be basically referred to as soft or hard based on the body or the materials that they are made up of. So most conventional robots are made up of rigid materials, and hence they are known to be used in factory assembly lines and produce high strength. Whereas soft robots are defined in the context of soft biological materials, as systems are able to basically operate independently, and these can be developed using biomaterials. Now, in the image shown on the screen, you can see the differences we've provided between hard and soft. Hard is known for its high precision, fast response, readily available materials, whereas soft can be made using for 3D printing, self-healing, material diversity, etc. We'll go going into the literature survey. The first we'll be covering is bio-inspired. Now, under bio-inspired, soft robots are systems which are built basically naturally of soft and expandable materials. And because of this, they're said to have a continuous and deformable structures, and they have muscle-like actuation, and they basically mimic your biological systems. So this can be seen in the examples that we have provided. You can see a fish or a centipede, where the soft robot is inspired based on the movement of the body of a fish or centipede, and they mimic that same body to develop using your soft materials or actuators. Moving on, we will be talking about soft materials and actuators that can be used. Now, soft materials are materials that is basically induced with certain energy in a parallel field, and this can be is basically converted, that energy can be seen in the physical domain. So this helps the body to reach its full potential. The actuators and materials that can be used is your fluidic elastomer actuator, or a contact-driven, or a dielectric elastomer actuator. And certain materials that can be used is your shape memory alloys, your shape memory polymers, or your ionic polymer metal composites. We'll be talking about this later on in detail. Moving on, we'll be talking about state of art and examples. There are about 8 examples on the screen. I will be talking about 4 important examples. If seen the image marked D, which is called a GoCubot, which is basically a soft material robot that curls its body quickly into a wheel-like structure, and hence it's able to obtain certain projectile motion. So that takes its inspiration from a caterpillar, and the body is basically made of silicon rubber mixtures, and you have other actuators used. The next image E, which is also said to be a robot arm, which is extremely soft and flexible, and how these also take their inspiration from an octopus. And how they're basically designed is by using transverse actuators and 12 cables of different lengths. Coming to the image I, this as seen looks like a fish. This basically is known to have very flexible body, and as explained before, it takes its complete inspiration from how the body of a fish is designed. If seen in image G, which is a child humanoid robot called CB2, this is basically was used to design for the study of robots, its production, and how a human-robot interaction would take place. Now, in order to get the full sensor skin and your flexible joints, here we use pneumatic cylinders, which are also other soft actuators that can be used. Moving on, we will be talking about the 3 types of fabrication that we have selected. The first one will be shape deposition manufacturing. So this is known to be a fast manufacturing, and how it works is it has a couple of steps. So first, the material is deposited, then it's machined, embedded, and then you support it by a structure, and finally you get your set shape. So as seen over there are 5 numbers on the screen. Over here, first your support material is removed, leaving a wax mold. Then the desired ceramic material is put inside. Then the mold is removed, and any excess material can be removed, as seen in the last images. Now, what this provides us, the 2 major features is construction of parts in incremental layers, and also by using various materials, you can use the properties of all these materials are combined to give you a better structure in the end. Moving on, we will be talking about smart composite microstructure. Now, a smart composite microstructure is basically a rigid polymer reinforced carbon fiber body, CFRP. Now, this procedure allows for an integrated structure of a CFRP and any of your silicon ligaments by laser machining and lamination. As seen in the image, there are a number of steps which lead to this. It involves 2D cutting, and when cut in half, they are placed on each other, and finally you get your final output. The final method that we have selected is a multi-material 3D printing. Now, This method was basically used to design a broad range of soft robots. By using 3D printing, we can get fully functional, including bending, twisting, grabbing, movement, etc. And the image over here shows how a 3D machine would work and how the entire working of it would take place. So it helps you to have a smooth construction of a mechanically established fluidic elastomer actuator. That's one of the main functions of this. Now we will have a comparative analysis on some of the soft materials that can be used and actuators that can be used. First, we'd like to cover is an electrically responsive gel. Now, the basis on which this electrically responsive gel works is the use of an electric field and an ionic solution, and this will cause the gel to enlarge. So as seen in the images over here, the first one in image A, you have a rod-like gel, and in image B, it shows a before and after applying a certain electrical potential. Next, moving on, we see in image C that is using a Coulomb mechanism. Image D shows you an electro-osmosis mechanism, and the final one shows you an electrochemical. So these are different methods in which it's based on a similar principle of basically osmosis, or when you place the ionic solution on a gel, it will cause it to enlarge. In the cathode and asymmetrically, as the internal and external concentrations of your moving ions differ. So that's how electrically responsive gels function. Now, electrically responsive polymers. Here, electrically responsive polymers, these are known to alter their shape and size based on certain electrical stimulation. So over here, we're going to talk about three. You have conduction by ions, or an intrinsic electrically conductive polymer, which is conduction by electron delocalization, and then conduction by delocalization of conductive particles. So these provide a feature of simple material properties. They're said to have high resistance, vibration dampening, and they're also said to be light and weight. The next one we'll be covering is fluids. Now, fluids, the earliest soft robots were made up of something called an artificial pneumatic muscle. This is the basis on which fluids comes in. Now, we've shown an example of a Whitney strain gauge, which is basically a rubber tube filled with a certain material, which is your fluid material. And here the pressure can be your pressure can be determined based on the conductivity. So how this works is when the strain gauge is wrapped around your arm or a limb, you can measure the muscle contraction or joint movement without interfering directly with the body's natural mechanism. So by using this, you can get the properties of a human hand, and this can be implemented in your when you develop a completely soft robotic human hand. The next three we'll be dealing with is variable length tendon. Now, how a variable length tendon functions is it's basically a tension cable or an SMA actuator with variable length tendons can be inserted in soft segments, and they can have different lengths. That's how these tendons help you to give you certain characteristics that help it to behave in the form of a robotic arm. So the structure shown in on the slide is basically inspired from an octopus and how an octopus arm works. Next, we move on to fluidic actuators. Now, as we spoke about fluids in the previous slide, there we spoke about pneumatic artificial muscle. There is another one we can use, which is called a fluency elastomer actuator, which is being used to record more soft robots. So what's the basic functioning of it is that it has a synthetic elastomer, which distorts it by expanding any embedded channel with certain amount of pressurized air. So you have a certain chambers or channels that is that expands with the help of certain amount of pressurized air, and those channels are aligned with your fluidic actuators or fluidic elastomers. As seen in the image, here we talk about a fish, which you can see a right chamber, a left chamber, and a center channel. And these, to give it the proper shape or the dimension, using the properties of your fluid, these can be expanded using certain pressurized air. The last one will be an electroactive polymer. Now, EAPs are known to be biocompatible polymers, which are induced with certain amount of electric field which helps it to change its size or shape. So that's the basic concept where a certain electric field can lead into a physical domain conversion. So there can be two types, a mechanical, where a mechanical force is applied, or an ionic EAP. We'll be discussing about a few materials that we saw before. First, you have an ionic polymer metal composite. Now, in your ionic polymer metal composite, here they are known, these systems are basically designed to address any of the drawbacks of polymer hydrogels or any other drawbacks due to certain amount of insolvents that are present. Now, they have the properties of a low voltage or reduced driving stress or lightweight, prolonged life, etc. And these actuators exhibit a rapid initial and then a gradual relaxation. And this how it happens is by using certain amount of step voltage. So as seen in the image, we've shown you an image of a gripper and how it bends towards right, left. This is done by controlling the amount of step voltage. Hence, it has high number of benefits because you'll require less amount of voltage, but it'll also provide you a high degree of freedom. The last one will be a dielectric elastomer. Now, basically, the operational theory of a DEA, which is called a dielectric elastomer actuator, it relies on Coulomb force. So the base theory is Coulomb force, where it attracts two flexible electrons with different potential on either side. So these are known to have great stress, consistent with great stresses. They are known to have high energy density, and also they are known to have certain sensing characteristics. We will now be concluding on whatever we've discussed before. So as we know, there have been a number of developments in the field of soft robotics over the recent years. It has been highly functional soft structures and robots with the use of any modern sensing actuators or materials have led to really practical and usable materials which can be used to develop your soft robots. We further require a little more improvement in our robustness and flexibility and reliability, which is becoming ever more necessary so that we're able to build better and highly accurate and functional soft robots or robots in general. And they also have to be economical. Hence, based on our discussion, we conclude that IPMCs, which is your ionic polymer metal composite, is the one to stand out for a few reasons. Firstly, it would require very low acting voltage, which is less than 5 volt. And also, it is known to have a natural two-direction actuator, which can be based on the polarity of your voltage. So it can deform in various directions based on polarity and also requires very low voltage. Lastly, they can perform a large electrical field deformations with, again, a relatively low electric field. So we have relatively low electric field, low voltage, and you can get various degrees of freedom. With this, I'd like to conclude. Thank you.
Thanks, Anushka. I will open up for questions.
Sure, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
What kind of software do you use?
Sorry, ma'am, not able to hear you.
So, which software are you using for this project?
Ma'am, this is basically a survey paper, so we've done a little bit of research on the different materials. So we haven't really implemented anything using any software.
Okay, only the base paper here, the groundwork.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you expose some more points on the material? What kind of material you use?
Any particular material, ma'am, or?
Generally, sensor.
Okay, then ma'am, I will talk on the last one which we concluded on, that's IMPCs, which is known to be an is known to be an ionic polymer metal actuator. Now, these basically the biggest property that we can talk about is the deformation, because in hard robots we do not have very high degrees of deformation in ability to movement basically, and that's why soft robot plays a very important role. So here you can get a large various degrees of deformation by using a very small amount of voltage. So it'll not only will it make it economical, but it will also reduce the total amount of current or energy that's required for the soft robot to function. And since it is a fluidic actuator, since it has certain properties of polymers in it, hence it is also has a very soft, or the surface is known to be less stiff when compared to a hard robot. So that gives it the two most important properties, which will be able to take its inspiration from robotic arms and things like that, and be able to design a better robot.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thanks, Anushka. Nice presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. We'll move on to the next.
Ma'am, issue with paper ID 101 is sorted. Can we go back to the paper, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Shridaksha, can you make me the presenter?
Yes, ma'am. Will do.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, ma'am. The sharing option is not available for me.
Ma'am, I have not given the presenter right. I'll be giving, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
So, Priya, ma'am, I have make you as a presenter.
Yes, thanks. So its paper ID that we will be presenting is 101. The paper title is A Survey on the Effects of Various Meditation, Intervention and the Overall Performance of College Students. And the presenters are Sneha, Veena Desai and Prabhakar. Thanks. Over to you, paper ID 101.
Paper ID 101, ma'am, you can present now, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, is the PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sneha Narvankar. I'm here to present a paper titled A Survey on Effects of Various Meditation Interventions on Overall Performance of College Students, along with my co-authors, Mr. Prabhakar Manke and Dr. Veena Desai. This will be the flow of my presentation. In this era of continuously changing technology, it is very essential for the students not to get diverted from their basic goals, that is academic achievement. But nowadays, because of very highly competitive environment, the students are being stressed out due to various reasons, such as maybe peer pressure or parental pressure or exam pressure, sports, and very heavy workloads. So many young students, particularly the ones who are undergoing professional education, they are prone to leading a very stressful life. So scientific research has proven that regular meditation will give a lot of physiological and psychological benefits to the students. And basically they require concentration, focus and discipline, and meditation will help a lot in developing these effective qualities. These are the many meditation techniques which are available. Out of this, most of the research in this field is concentrated on mantra meditation and mindfulness meditation. So I'll be talking about only those two in detail. So mantra meditation is nothing but it's basically based on a mantra which can be simply listened to or recited at various speeds with concentration of various parameters such as breathing, feelings, visualizations, etc. The most important technique under mantra meditation also they have found out is transcendental meditation is more concentrated upon. And mindfulness meditation focuses on intentionally transferring one's attention to the experiences which are occurring in the present moment, and it develops awareness, acceptance without any judgment. So examples of mindfulness meditations are mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBCT, Zen meditation, Vipassana, etc. So basically, the researchers have employed various qualitative and quantitative techniques. Qualitative techniques are such as using feedback or questionnaires or interview protocols, etc., to evaluate parameters such as stress, anxiety, or awareness or learning effectiveness. And they are doing it on various scales. They are measured on various scales such as perceived stress scale or Heartland forgiveness scale or Epworth sleepiness scale. Spielberg state anxiety inventory or college learning effectiveness inventory, etc. And for this purpose, various tasks also have been designed, such as digit vigilance task, memory scanning task, metronome response task, or corners performance task. So this was about the qualitative techniques. And the other part that they have used is the EEG signal processing to monitor the changes in the brain waves, correlating various statistical parameters such as variance or kurtosis or standard deviations, etc., to parameters such as stress, attention, reaction time, concentration level, awareness, etc. So these are the various brain waves which are there. Okay, so alpha, beta, theta, delta, and gamma. So out of this, delta is associated with very deep sleep, subconscious mind restoration, and healing process. theta is associated with very deep meditation or REM sleep or dreaming and creativity. And alpha is associated with very light meditation, and it is the most favorable state for learning. It improves concentration, memory, and mental processes. Also, beta is when very high performance activity is going on, such as critical thinking or highly stressful situations which require very high mental concentration and focus. That time beta gets augmented. And gamma is for heightened perception, learning, problem solving, and information processing. So we basically surveyed many techniques based on qualitative techniques. The first study that we surveyed, they used transcendental meditation. They used a semi-structured interview protocol, and their principal findings were a heightened restful alertness state, superior capability for self-reflection, flexibility and self-control, and an enhanced academic performance. The Oman study in 2008, they used mindfulness-based stress reduction. They measured stress, rumination, and forgiveness on the scales which are given here. So they basically found out that meditation helps in reduction in stress. It increases forgiveness among the students, and it reduces the rumination. The Travis Fred study, they used again they employed transcendental meditation, and they used these scales, ESS, VIS, etc. on various tasks which are given here. They again found less sleepiness, also quicker habituation rates. They found that they are negatively correlated with the higher scores on the brain integration scale, and they also found enhanced sympathetic reactivity under very high stress. The Kang study, they used mindfulness meditation, wherein they measured stress, anxiety, and depression on various scales. So they found that there is very significant difference in the stress and anxiety levels for the meditation groups and the control groups, but they found no significant difference in the depression levels. The Shapiro study, they used mindfulness-based stress reduction, and their findings were the increased empathy, trait mindfulness, and subjective well-being. Then the Ching study in 2015, they used again mindfulness meditation, and their findings were improved learning effectiveness in both the attention and memory aspects of cognitive performance among the students. They also found that meditation helps improve reaction time, spatial working memory, and the precision, especially in the digit vigilance task. Then the Lin and Mai study in mindfulness meditation, they used they found out that they basically found out short-term academic performance and long-term performance. They found out that meditation significantly improved the short-term academic performance, but not a very significant improvement in the long-term academic performance. In the Zoom study in 2017, they found out that meditation prevents an increase in the mind wandering, and it prevents performance deterioration when the participants experience off-task thoughts. Then the Patel study in 2018, they found out a substantial rise in cognitive appraisal, positive effects, self-compassion, and awareness. And there was a noteworthy reduction in the negative effect. And they used mastering emotions technique. Then about the quantitative studies by using EEG research. So Takahashi study in 2005, they used EEG as well as ECG, and they found that the attention and mindfulness are outlined by blending various psychophysiological properties and personality attributes. They found out that the alpha as well as the theta power is increased during meditation, but there was no major connection among their percentage changes. Then the Ahani study in mindfulness meditation, they again found elevated beta and theta power during meditation as opposed to the control subjects. Also, alpha power increased in right lateral and posterior positions, and lesser respiratory rate in meditation versus control. This was directly related to the reduction in the stress. The Helena study, they used transcendental meditation. They found an increased alpha coherence in the frontal region of the brain, a marginal decrease in the beta power, and a synergy in the delta band was considerable in the occipital and frontal areas, whereas slightly significant in the temporal region. And they found out that the theta is more responsive to meditation than the alpha wave. In the BIE study in 2016, they used NTSMT, which was employed using interaxon use. They found out that the reaction time was improved on the two tasks that they used, and they found out that attention and well-being was improved. The Jadhav study in 2017, they again used EEG signals recorded using emotive epoch. Also, KNN classifier was used to find out improved regulation of sentiments and personal well-being, and considerable alterations in the subjective rating and emotional arousal and functional connectivity. Also, the Pitta-Priyak study in 2017, they employed inner wisdom meditation training using university's Mindwave mobile. They found out increased alpha, beta, and delta powers, giving benefits such as higher concentration and awareness, and long-term memory capacity improvement and increased optimism. Also, little decrease in the stress and improved concentration was indicated by no change in the beta and gamma frequency. The Kajal 4-day study in 2018, they found out that there is less variance in the non-meditators versus the meditators, higher kurtosis and higher energy values, thus leading to increased concentration level. So in conclusion, we would say that out of the many forms of meditation, we found out that most of the studies have been using transcendental meditation and mindfulness meditation. So they're having many profound positive effects, which was tabulated in the literature survey. So this improves the academic performance as well as the overall well-being of these college students. We found that there is not much variation in meditation effects across various geographical locations or weather conditions. Many studies have focused on observing the activations of various cortical regions of the brain and a change in the alpha and theta EEG. And theta was found in more expert meditators, promoting the conjecture that more experience might be related to greater capability of self-induced deep relaxation. What we found was many studies had been biased because of various methodological restrictions, like a very small sample size or inadequate controls or non-randomization methods. So in future, we could improve the study quality by employing sufficient randomization, documenting all the study details such as the methods employed, qualifications of the meditation instructors, describing the participant training details, their durations, and also the criteria used to determine the success of a meditation practice, and also analyze the performance on larger sample size. Also, the studies that generate a comparative assessment of effectiveness of various meditation practices, both against standard therapies and against each other, could be developed. We also could probe the exclusive challenges that the studies on meditation practices encounter in designing proper controls, because an appropriate selection of controls is very important in determining the effect of meditation practices. Also, more research is needed to determine the effective study duration of meditation and the timing of meditation. I would conclude my presentation here. These are the references. Thank you all for patient listening.
Thanks for the presentation, Sneha. We will open up for questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, Sneha, I have a question. Like, what is the correlation between the meditation effects versus the geographical location?
Ma'am, actually, I had not done that, but there was a comment that find out what is the meditation intervention with respect to the geographical condition. So what I did was I saw that the studies were conducted in various countries like USA, Republic of Korea, Taiwan, Canada, many different geographical locations. So even I didn't think, but there was a comment, so that's why specifically I have included that in my study. In the review comment, it was mentioned.
Okay. Can you throw some light on what is alpha power and beta power?
Yes, ma'am. Alpha is basically alpha power and beta power is basically alpha and beta, the different frequencies, meaning in your brain waves. If there is 7 to 13 hertz, the alpha is more predominant at that particular stage, and it is basically it is the state which is basically for learning by improving the concentration or memory or mental processes. So in case that particular thing increases, means that it's a good thing. I mean, if alpha is increased, that is like your brain is more active, or your imaginary power or the memory power is a little bit improved. If we say that the alpha power is improved. beta power is related to very highly critical conditions, like in the exam when the exams are going on during critical thinking. So that particular time, beta power will be more. So if the powers are augmented, if those particular waves are augmented, that means that's a good thing for the students.
Okay.
So
yes. Yeah. Thanks for that. Nice presentation. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We will move on to the next presentation, paper ID 116. So paper ID 116 is about diagnostic study of lung cancer using photonics. Authors are Rashmi, Geetanjali, and Chetan.
Yes,
Please
ma'am.
confirm if you are available. Yeah.
Ma'am, I don't have the share option.
Yes, ma'am, I've given now, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
You can present now.
My screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, now it is visible. You need to switch to presentation mode.
Yes, ma'am. Can I start?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So good morning to the respected panel. Today I will be presenting our paper, Diagnostic Study of Lung Cancer Using Photonics. Our paper number is 116 and we come under the track TS9, Special WIE track on Technology for Women Empowerment. The authors are myself Rashmi T, Geetanjali S, and Dr. Chetan H. To give you like an overview, let me start with a brief about lung cancer. Lung cancer is a condition which causes uncontrollable division of cells, which are called tumors. Further, to look into tumors, there are two types. One are the benign, which are non-cancerous and do not spread to different parts. It is basically the excessive growth of cells at a particular location. Second are the malignant tumors. Those are the cancerous ones, and these spread to various parts of the body. Malignant tumors are further divided into three grades, and this is based on the aggressiveness of the cancerous cells, and all of these are based on the morphology of the cell. Grade 1 resembles the lung cells better. Grade 2, where the membranes of the cell break. And finally, the grade 3, which is the high grade one, where the cell has lost its nature. Now that we have an idea of the types of tumor, I'll give you like a small brief as to how they are diagnosed. There are mainly two methods or ways to identify a tumor. One is citation and the other is histopathology. Citation is the study of cells, mostly done either by studying the sputum secretion or by the bronchoalveolar lavage. And the histopathology is done on tissue samples, mostly by tissue biopsy. We also have immunohistochemistry, which is done to know more about the cancer cells as to where it came from and what's its nature. So with this, this is like a brief introduction of what is lung cancer and how we diagnose it. Thereby, in our paper, we'll discuss a retrospective meta-analysis of the different methods available for the diagnosis of lung cancer using photonics. The first method of discussion is bronchoscopy. It is a procedure that allows the doctor to examine the inside of the lungs, including the bronchi, which are the main pathways into the lungs. During a bronchoscopy, a patient is being inserted with a thin tube containing a light and a camera into the lungs through the nose or the mouth. In this method, we can distinguish the normal cells, HGD, and malignant from the benign lung lesions with a sensitivity of 90% and specificity of 65%. The next method of discussion is the Raman spectroscopy. It is a spectroscopic technique typically used to determine the vibrational modes of molecules. It is a non-destructive chemical analysis technique which provides detailed information about the chemical structure, phase, polymorphy, and molecular interaction. It is used to diagnose malignant and pre-malignant lesions. The next method we'll discuss is the near-infrared Raman spectroscopy. This method has advantages over the Raman spectroscopy as it uses infrared rays. Advantages include relative insensitivity to the tissue water content, and deeper penetration depth into the tissue that justify the increasing popularity of it in the biomedical applications. As you can see, the above plot shows the Raman shift of the normal cells versus the cancerous cells, and it is observed that the cancerous cells have a high peak intensity. The next method is the attenuated total reflection Fourier transform. In this method, a spectroscopic test of the blood serum is done for diagnosis and stratification of lung tumors using machine learning algorithms. In this method, we can distinguish or detect the malignant and non-malignant lung tissues with a precision and consistency of 96.7%. Moving on, the next method we shall see is the surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy. In this method, so why this method is because Raman signals are inherently weak. One of the methods to amplify these weak Raman signals is to employ the surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy. It's also called SERS, and SERS uses a nanoscale roughened metal surface which is made either gold or silver, and this roughened metal surface is used with combination with laser light that is matched to the absorption maxima of the molecules. So that's a brief about that. Moving on, I'll go to the next method, optical biopsy. Optical biopsy is a novel approach that uses spectroscopy at selected wavelengths to diagnose cancer without removing tissue from the body. The term optical biopsy itself refers to a method that uses the properties of light to enable the operator to make an instant diagnosis at endoscopy. The next method is Raman microscopy. A Raman microscope is the one that allows the selection of measurement spots on a light microscopy image of the sample, that is called the single spot measurements, and the collection of Raman images by Raman raster scanning the sample and collecting the full Raman spectrum in every pixel within the selected area. This is called Raman mapping, and with this data, spatial distributions of the chemical composition and the physiochemical properties of materials can be calculated. The next method of discussion will be the coherent anti-Stokes Raman scattering. A CARS, the abbreviation is CARS. So a CARS microscope is a non-invasive imaging equipment that enables to obtain images indicating the molecular distribution. The average cycle time for predicting is approximately 40% of a second for every image. So that's less than a second. And this method is clinically significant by providing different diagnosis approach for lung cancer in critical real time, which improves the decision making. The next method we shall talk about is SFSA, that is spatial frequency spectroscopy analysis. The purpose of study is to examine the optical SFSA combined with the visual resonance Raman, that is VRR spectroscopic method, and it is used to discriminate the human brain metastasis of lung cancer, adenocarcinoma, and squamous cell carcinoma from the normal tissues. The VRR spectra demonstrate an array of biomarkers functioning simultaneously in real time, based on which there is a label-free technique for differentiation of the human brain normal tissues from the brain metastasis of the lung cancer. The last method of discussion is the multiphoton microscopy. Here we use photon energy. In multiphoton microscopy, which is also known as non-linear or a two-photon microscopy, a sample is illuminated at twice its normal excitation wavelength. So the longer the wavelengths are advantageous as they penetrate into the sample more deeply for 3D imaging, and also they do not damage the sample, allowing increased sample longevity. In order to achieve the multiphoton excitation, the illumination beam is spatially focused using optics, and at the same time, high energy short pulsed excitation beam is used to enhance the probability of two or more photons arriving at the same time and same location. Now moving on to the results and discussion. Our paper talks about the comparative study of 10 different methods, which we stated earlier, among which we find these to be more effective based on less time consumption, specificity, sensitivity, and precision. So here in the results, we'll discuss a clinical experiment done by each of these methods. Starting with the attenuated Fourier transform method, this method is used, helps in detection of cancer tissues in the initial phase. So there was a study where 60 samples were subjected to infrared spectroscopy, and there were 3 parameters used to detect the tumor, that is the tissue collection, acquisition of FTIR spectra, and statistical analysis. Finally, the FTIR's parameters were matched for malignant and non-malignant samples. And another method that was effective among our study is the CARS. So in this method, the tissues of the lungs were acquired and made ice cold using liquid nitrogen. Also, CARS image were acquired in vivo without a microscope, within a microscope. Therefore, what we can get from here is there are 3 processes which helps us to detect the tumor in the lungs, namely the H&E sectioning, CH2 stretched vibration point, and finding the Z-stat. The third method, which we'll talk about, is the NIR spectroscopy. 10 patients, that is 28 bronchial tissues, were studied using the NIR spectroscopy. Using lifelong apparatus bronchoscopy, biopsies were taken from areas of irregular fluorescence. In the later stages, these tissues were kept in formalin after the NIR Raman measurement, which were then submitted for analysis. Therefore, by applying the above process, they could detect a few cells were non-cancerous, whereas the others were either ADCs or SCCs. And the last method of discussion is the spatial frequency spectroscopy analysis. In this method, microgram images were recorded as white light illumination, and also there is a collection of before and after VRR data, which is the resonance, visual resonance Raman. This method was efficient in distinguishing the human normal brain tissue and brain tissue with lung cancer metastasis. So as we discussed in our results section, we have like a mathematical table here, which gives you the specificity and sensitivity of these methods. As every study needs to be more sensitive and specific in terms of results, it is evident from the table that these are more efficient and accurate. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation. We'll open up for Q&A.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have described 10 different methods which are available currently and users are being used widely. So I have a question, like which of these methods is less penetrating for the sample so as to ensure that it doesn't damage while the analysis is being done?
Most of it, what we talk about is in terms of light, and in the 10 methods, if we see there are a few where there is not a biopsy taken, and it is just the injection of a light due to through operator. If you see in the bronchoscopy or the optical biopsy, there is not really a sample of the tissue taken out, so there is no invasion, basically no poking or piercing into the body. So in that way, they are better. But in terms of the sensitivity and specificity, if you see the least attached to it is the SFSA, where we talk with the comparison of the brain tissues.
Okay. So can you tell me some disadvantages of near-infrared spectroscopy?
Among the study of our 10 papers, in the 10 papers we took, we found near-infrared to be one of a good solution, because it, in one way, has advantages to the Raman spectroscopy, as you can penetrate further and have better results. In terms of disadvantages, it can be that we don't have the detection of the pre-malignant tumors, as we only focus on the malignant tumors here, like to see if it is malignant or benign. We don't really see if we can get the pre or early stages.
Okay. Of the yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. We'll move on to the next presentation, which is paper ID 187. Paper title is FinTech, Digital Communication Platform to Ease the Process of Funding to NGOs. Authors are Shruti Deepak.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm currently sharing my screen.
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Thank you for the confirmation.
Over to you. Thanks.
Yeah. So hi, everybody. Good morning. Myself, Shruti, and Deepak. We were the authors of this research paper on FinTech digital communication platform to ease the process of funding in NGOs. We are from SAP Labs, India. So yeah, as we all know, there are billions of people around the world who face various social, economic, and environmental issues. As you can see in this slide, the global multidimensional poverty index across around 107 developing countries with 1.3 billion people is 22%. So which means 22% of these people live in multidimensional poverty. When I say multidimensional poverty, the poverty could be because of environmental issues or social issues or economic issues. So though there are various helps extended by the government, one of the second most important organizations that helps in resolving these issues are none other than the non-profitable organizations, that is the NGOs. There are millions of such NGOs around the world, and yet we see very little difference. This leads to a thought that there are gaps that needs to be identified in this process. So with this in mind, we decided to have a case study on NGO activities and their needs and challenges faced by them. I personally volunteered in various NGOs around Bangalore, like Enable India, Samarthanam, Smileys, VFC, and etc. On a broad perspective, there were various issues and challenges that they faced. Some of them are listed in the slide right now. So like you can see, lack of funds, lack of public participation, lack of accountability, trust, and especially finding and accessing donors. So we narrowed down our focus majorly on funds and donors. Because there are a lot of issues faced, we thought we will just pick one issue for this particular paper and research. So we wanted to actually know what was the root cause for finding or not able to have potential donors in NGOs. So if you see, as per the Gallup statistics around the globe, there are almost 50. So as per the Gallup statistics, this is the confidence level that the people have in NGOs or charitable organizations, like the trust vote. So if you see, 52% across the globe have high confidence level on NGOs, whereas 32% do not have confidence on NGOs. When I say do not have confidence, they do not trust the NGOs or are not willing to help or donate to the NGOs, while the others are neutral. Now, why did the donors or people lack this confidence or the trust in NGOs? So these were some of the few points that we got on the survey from the donors or the people. They were not sure where their funds were exactly being spent by the NGOs. So when you donate some amount, you are not sure where exactly the donated amount is reaching or how is it reaching the needy. The second point is it was very cumbersome to find a trustable or faithful NGO across. So you usually tend to ask your friends or any colleague who's into NGO activities or charitable activities in order to contribute so that you already have some trust built through that friend or through that colleague. And then expect more transparency and accountability from NGOs. So they want to understand like more on where exactly their fund is reaching, or expect the NGO to be more transparent on their activities and their expenditures, etc. Do not want the NGOs to use their funds for admin activities. So there are a lot of NGOs which also use these funds to take care of their office purposes, electricity, payments, rents, etc., which some of the donors do not encourage. Then lack of personal touch. So these were some of the few feedbacks that we had got from donors and people. So now on the other hand, when we come to NGOs, they spend a huge amount of time and effort in collecting these funds and marketing. Like as you see, they have to build a lot of trust and confidence in donors in order to get some donations. And these donations shouldn't be very random. They have to have a seamless inflow of donations so that they can continue their social activities without any hindrance monthly. So not knowing how to build that trust or provide evidence to justify the funding, the NGOs used so the NGOs could not build this trust, including even though they provided all these payment receipts or annual report which showed their expenditures and income of funds, still they could not justify or provide the satisfaction to the donors. So keeping all this issue in mind, we decided to have a common platform that channelizes, reports, and provides funds from donors to NGOs. So as we can see, this is the platform, or this is the workflow of the platform that we have built or that we would like to build. So let's explain the donor to NGO workflow. A donor deposits money, like we all have a bank account. In the bank account, we have fixed deposit, recursive deposit. Like that, we will have a charity deposit or a donation deposit account in which the donor can deposit his or her money. Information of the donation is sent to the DNC platform, digital communication platform, by the integrated banks. The DNC platform aggregates the funding amount collected from all the donors and stacks the donor fund information in the server. So based on the permutation and combination of filters selected by the donors, so the donors are allowed to select filters. So when I say filters, they can choose the respective NGO to which they want to contribute, or a respective cause, or a country. So there will be various filters available based on which they can choose what percentage of their funding amount should reach where. The funds will be collected by the respective NGO. Okay. So based on the funds donated by the donors and the allocation made by the DNC server, funds will be received by the NGOs. Transaction of the funds to the NGO's account will not happen until a purchase is made by the NGO using the unique ID which is provided when they are registered under the DNC platform. So when the NGO onboards to the DNC platform, a KYC is done. A lot of surveillance and scrutiny is done on the NGO to make sure it is authentic. And a unique ID is provided to the NGO. The NGO is also provided a smart card using which they can use the funds transferred by the donors into the DNC platform to make expenses on NGO-related activities. So now when you come to the NGO to donor workflow, the NGO uses the DNC delivered payment method to purchase or manage expenses for the NGO activities. So in case an NGO wants to donate books to the needy kids or a home, then they have to make a bulk purchase. Say, for example, they go to the Sapna bookstore and make a purchase using the smart card. Then a transaction is generated. So this transaction report is generated at the DNC platform. This message can be appended by a customized note from the NGO. So along with this transaction with note that report that is grayed out, a small customization table is provided below so that the NGO can customize a small note to the donors who have donated for this particular cause, a thank you note or an acknowledgement note, which will then be sent. So this transaction message along with the appended note will be sent to each and every individual donor who has contributed to this particular transaction. So this way, the donor gets to know where his money that is deposited under his donation account has been spent by the NGO instantly. So even if a penny is spent by the NGO, the donor gets a transaction note. So this is the workflow. And this is a high-level architecture. So we have a donor portlet. So this portlet is in your banking app. Like you have a deposit account. So once you log into your banking app, you have various deposit accounts displayed. Similarly, you will also have a donation deposit account that is displayed. So this banking app will have an interface with the DNC platform. Similarly, the NGO banking app will also have an interface with the DNC server. We have a communication agent in order to communicate the funds transferred and also the transactions made by the NGOs. A communication agent is required. Then we have the DNC engine that uses the round robin process to stack fund inflow, information from various banks and donors. It also maintains credibility scores and mapping details. Then we have an admin console where the authentication and authorization process takes place. The KYC information about the NGOs are also maintained here and various other admin activities. So all this is banked by a Bank X in order to adhere the legal compliances. So as we know, this deals with transactions and banking accounts. We will also need the backup by a Bank X. So this is the high-level architecture. Coming to the benefits of this fintech platform proposed from a donor's persona and from a NGO or a beneficiary persona. So from a donor's perspective, we see that the planning and maintenance of a disciplined donation account takes place. Many times we end up going to an NGO donating, getting the receipt, but sometimes we do not have a track on how much we've donated and so on and so forth in order to get your tax exemptions or file it in ATD, etc. So we have a planned and maintained account here, a donation account. The second point is freedom to choose your NGOs or the categories of expense and the ratio of amount you want to fund. So like I had already mentioned, you have an option or a filter to choose the NGO that you want to donate and how much % of your donation to reach that particular NGO or for which cause you want to donate. Then summary on each of your transactions being used by this chosen NGO. So you have a summary for every transaction made by that particular NGO on your donation. Credibility of the beneficiary by methodically derived credibility scores. So when I say credibility scores here, based on the feedback received by the donors and the donation end-to-end credibility test that is conducted on NGOs, the credibility score will be built monthly or on a weekly basis, and based on that, the NGO funding limit will be set in the DNC server. So this is an internal logic that is followed by the DNC server, based on which this credibility score is built. Then coming to the beneficiaries or the NGOs. So the NGOs will see an increase in potential donors. Their regular inflow of funds will enrich their service. So when they see an increase in potential donors and the donors also see that their transaction or their donations are being used systematically by the NGOs, then the inflow of funds also increases and it becomes more periodic or more seamless. A feedback channel connecting to the donor for each contribution is made. So since we have a feedback channel, that is, every transaction has a customizing note where the donor can actually have a note from the NGO saying, thank you for the contribution, or this is where you have made a difference in this person's life, actually means a lot, or gives a small personal touch in this case to the donors. A single platform to maintain transaction details, accounts, and balance sheets. Like we all know, the NGOs have to maintain a balance sheet to show the government at the end of the day. So having this single platform to maintain all the transaction details and inflow of funds, etc., makes this job less tedious for them. The last one is increases the accountability and trustworthiness of every NGO. This is very evident from all that I have shown. So this is the paper and the benefits of this particular platform. Thank you all for this opportunity. I'm open to any questions.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. We are open for Q&A. So I have a question, like this NGO platform which you are proposing is maintained by whom? Is it like the government has a partnership and that your proposition is like they will maintain this as a platform, or it will be maintained independently by the NGO itself?
No, so this platform will be hosted by, right now since I work in SAP, I'm using an SAP platform. but definitely that cannot be compliant because we have banking details and other stuff. So that is why I said they're backed by a bank X. So right now we are in touch with Canara Bank. So if we club with them and take up this project, I think this is not completely under the government, nor it is completely private, I would say.
Okay. Another question is like if an NGO wants to register to this platform in order to be eligible for any kind of funding, so what is the process? Is it like they come via the government, or you guys, like the platform itself has some facilitates them in some way?
Yeah, so they may not come via the government. They can reach out to the platform directly, whereas there is a protocol that has to be followed. There are some KYC documents and some most required documents from an NGO that makes it very authentic and legal. So based on those documentations, an onboarding service will be provided.
Okay. So thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We'll move on to the next presentation. Paper ID 191, Smart Samper, an approach towards building a response system for Kisan Call Center. Authors are Pratyunjay, Pooja, and Veena Desai.
Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, Shruti, you are audible. Shruti, just a time check. You have 12 minutes. So this is for all the authors, all the upcoming authors for the next 4 presentations. Thank you.
Ma'am, I'm Pratyunjay, ma'am. Paper ID.
Pratyunjay. Yeah, got you, Pratyunjay. Yeah.
Ma'am, am I audible? Paper ID 191.
Yes. Paper ID 191, Pratyunjay, you are audible. You can start the presentation.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, please move on to the presentation mode.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Is my presentation visible, ma'am?
Yes, your presentation is visible and you are in presentation mode. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad I'm part of B-HTC 2020, and I'm here to present my research work named Smart Sampark, an approach to build an intelligent answering system for Kisan Call Center. Me along with my authors, I'm here to present the work. The other authors are Pooja Desai and Dr. Veena Desai. So going ahead, why this particular topic, first of all, as the part of the research? So ma'am, during the times of COVID, there was a situation of panic across. The farmer community was the one which was not really addressed. Who was going to take care of the queries or the questions the farmers have? The Kisan call centers are set up by the Indian government, yes, but are they operational? Are the Kisans getting the answers about the market prices during the COVID? Their crops went waste. Are they getting any information regarding the weather conditions or crop management or other questions related to plant disease? No. So hence, apart from this COVID situation, I also made a survey by visiting Karnataka Agriculture University, Dharwad, and going across the offices where the Kisan call center is being set up, or the questions of the farmers are answered. And to my surprise, I found that the questions asked by the farmers are not answered at a timely manner. Or even if the questions are answered, the answers are dependent on the knowledge of the person who is answering the question. Supposedly, if a graduate student is answering to the farmer, he would have very limited knowledge, and that wouldn't be helping the farmer to get an appropriate answer. All of this has motivated us to come up with this research work for developing a smart sampark in which the system is free from the manual intervention, and the system can be more data driven rather than the manual knowledge based system. So going ahead, first of all, with the data collection process to start developing the system, we have data.dewey.in website, which gives the Kisan call center data. So a snippet of the Kisan Call Center data is put up in this particular slide, which gives me various columns like what is the crop they are growing, or what is the query type, whether the query type is related to weather, whether the query type is related to plant protection, training and other related questions, so etc. And then what we thought of is narrow down the work to the Belgaum region for this particular research paper. So whatever I'm going to present today is the data set of the Belgaum region, and the data set is taken for 36 months, that is from January 2019. And I made a study for availability of data during the times of COVID at Kisan Call Center or data.gov.in website. The data is not available as of now, which strongly tells that the Kisan Call Center was not completely operational during the time of pandemic when our farmers really needed the help of the system. So going ahead with other literature survey, what I have put across, there are already few applications which are available like AgriCentral, then Krishika, MyAgriGuru. So what is the problem with these apps? The answers are not quick enough, or the responses are not quick enough, and an appropriate response is not obtained. There is lots of time involved in answering the question, or the question remains unanswered for a few days. So the existing apps also do not help farmers in any way. So then that's where technology has to bridge the gap between the farmers of a country and the technological experts by providing the solutions which can make farmers equipped for the coming days. So coming to the system, or coming to the paperwork, what we have developed is Smart Sampark. It is a conversational tool. Okay, it is something similar like a chatbot in which a farmer asks the question to the system and the system answers. Now let me clarify one thing here, as this research is just it is just the beginning. So what we are doing here is we are having a text box in which we type the question and a system gives an appropriate answer for the typed query. So this is what is the work carried out, and this is the work what is presented in today's presentation as well as the paper. And the techniques used here are natural language processing and the cosine similarity method. So the process flow of Smart Sampark is as follows. First we have the KCC data set collected. So there is web scraping that is included. We web scrap the KCC website and get the data downloaded onto our system. Supposedly, if I open the data set for 1 month, there are around 200 rows. So on an average, I have worked on 11,000 queries. So by combining the 36 months data, next, this data is undergoing a pre-processing. So when we say pre-processing, there are various steps included in it. I'll take them in the further slides. After doing the pre-processing, we have cosine similarity matching between the documents, that is the question asked, and the database that is with us, that is the training data set. So the training data set is the KCC data set which is already available. The test data set is the question what we type into the question box or the text box. So to start with the pre-processing, the first step what we have is localization. So as you can see, the questions asked are first tokenized, that means they're split into segments. So if there is a question, tell me about weed, so it is split into tell me, weed, control. So each sentence is tokenized. Then we remove the stop words, that means the words which do not have meaning or which do not actually have any information to share. We eliminate those words and keep the other data set intact. And then we calculate, after doing this, we have one more step, that is the stemming, that is converting each of those words to its root form. For example, the term asked becomes asked. Apart from that, the next step is calculating the term frequency and the inverse term frequency. So for the experimentation, I have taken 4 documents, that means 4 questions, D1, D2, D3, and D4, and calculated the term frequency and the inverse term frequency for these particular documents. After calculating the term frequency and inverse term frequency, we calculate the cosine similarity between these particular documents, that is the question asked and the existing data set. So now all of this, let me take you through by taking an example. So I have the 4 random questions from the KCC data set. D1 being asked about the Gokak weather Taluk weather report. D2 is call disconnected. D3 is asked about weather report of Taluk. D4 is asked about pomegranate plant production. So after pre-processing, if we observe, all of these questions are converted and the final pre-processed output what we get is, for D1, the ask becomes asked, Gokak remains Gokak. If we observe, about is removed because we have done a stop word removal, and about doesn't give me any information, so about is removed. Taluk is retained, weather is retained, and report is retained. So we have asked Gokak Taluk weather report. This is sufficient for me to match with the question and give an appropriate answer. The second one is call disconnected. So you have call disconnected converted into true form as call disconnect. The third one similarly is asked about weather report of Taluk. The fourth one is asked about pomegranate plant protection, and so on. Now next, after doing the proper pre-processing, we have term frequency calculation. So to depict the term frequency calculation, let me take these terms asked as an example. So the term frequency of the serial term asked in the document D1, that is asked to Gokak Taluk weather report, is 1 because it has appeared 1, and the total number of documents or the total number of terms that are there is 5. So 1 out of 5. So we get a value here, and inverse term document frequency is calculated by taking log E, and the total number of documents which are taken into consideration. There are 4 documents or 4 questions what I'm taking for the experimentation, divided by the number of times the term has appeared in each of the documents. So if you see here, ask is appeared in 3 documents. So if I calculate, I get 0.124. Similarly, if I take
Pratigya, just a time check. You have another a minute or 2. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, ma'am. Sorry. Okay, I'll just I'll hurry up. Okay. So all of the words of the term frequency and inverse term frequency is put up in this particular column. Then going ahead, let me take a question now. D is equal to call disconnected. So if you observe, D is equal to call disconnected. Among the 4, which is the sentence that is most matching? Isn't it D2? Yes. Is it matching to D1? No. It is matching to D2? Yes. Is it matching to D3? No. Is it matching to D4? No. Hence, based on this formula, even if after putting all of the term frequency and inverse term frequency in this particular formula and calculating the cosine similarity, we get the same result, that is cosine similarity for D1 is 0, whereas D is 0. So it is observed that only for D2, where call disconnect is there, the cosine similarity is 1, and hence we have got a matching appropriate question, and a corresponding answer is retrieved and given to the farmer. So the experimentation is carried out for about 100 questions in the data set, and top 5 answers are obtained. And when we take an accuracy of cosine similarity of these top 500 responses, we get a result of 86%, and this is put up in the paper. So with this, I like to conclude my work. Thank you. Hopefully, our system will help the farmers bridge the gap, and we come up with a system to answer the farmers' questions in an efficient way. Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation. I will open up for Q&A. Pratigya, I have a question. Like, which NLP classifier have you used in designing your POC?
Okay, ma'am, I haven't used an NLP classifier here now. What a simple cosine similarity matching technique is being used. So there's no classifier used as of now, but in my later stage, I'm going to use a classifier to classify the questions into different into different categories, like questions related to marketing information, questions related to weather, questions related to fertilizer. So that is the latest step, ma'am.
Okay. Another question is like, for example, the token that you are looking for is
Yes,
not
ma'am.
part of the list, then how your algorithm like how your framework takes care of it?
So, ma'am, if the token is not part of my algorithm list, I have substituted a zero in that so that it doesn't give any information.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Pratikya.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Have a great day.
Yeah. We will move on to the next presentation, paper ID 233, paper title, Robust Smart Irrigation System Using Hydroponic Framing Based on the Data Science and IoT. Authors, Punya, Sarla, and Sharmila.
Ma'am, I can't make them as a presenter.
Okay, you...
Okay, give me a minute, ma'am. Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Give me a minute, ma'am. I'm sorting it. Yes, ma'am. They can present now, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Authors, please confirm if you are able to share your presentation. Punya, you need any help? Can you confirm you are able to hear us? Punya, you may need to unmute. Shreeksha, we can move on to the next presentation by the time authors of 233 paper ID sort out the issue.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah.
we have a co-author. Can I make them as a presenter?
Yes, yes. If they are able to present, it is good. Yeah.
Can I speak now?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like myself, Punya Prabha, I am giving presentation on the paper ID 233, and our paper title is Robust Smart Irrigation System Using Hydroponic Farming Based on Data Science and IoT. And I am the presenter, Punya Prabha, and my co-authors are Sarala and Sharmila. So the problem statement, so in order to start with, I just go through the content.
Punya, since you are present, author, like whoever is presenting, you are presenting from mobile, your screen is too, size is not right.
Now, is that fine? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, now I think it's fine. Looking to the contents of the presentation, I will be discussing about the problem statement. Next, the introduction about the proposed work. Then the teacher survey related work on the work what I have discussed in the paper and the proposed method with results and discussion with future work. So now coming to the problem statement. Our paper mainly speaks about an automated farming system, development of automated farming system using IoT-based technique in order to assist farmers with who are having for especially it is for metropolitan and urban area where they are facing problem with the time, space as well as availability of time, space and land. So for that, since traditional farming involves a lot of experience and lot of involvement used, but here in hydroponic farming system, it is a smart irrigation based system, wherein which in spite of using soil, water, irrigation, a nutrient solvent water is used instead of soil in order to grow the plants. Hydroponic farming technique reduces more water and space, and it requires minimum knowledge of farming. And here a nutrient film technique which is most prevalent way of dissolving the nutrients into a water and then watering the plants will lead into a better plantation. In this technique, nutrients are solved with a shallow stream of water and recycled under the roots of the plants. In this proposed work, we are going to propose an automated irrigation system. Automated irrigation system is reported in order to use the NFT system, that is the nutrient film technique, which is the most prevalent technique, where the nutrients will be dissolved in water and their shallow stream of water will be recycled under the roots of the plants. So here,
sorry, ma'am, we are not able to see the presentation screen.
Now?
Ma'am, this paper co-author wants to present it. I'll transfer the presenter rights to Sarala ma'am, and Punya ma'am can explain ma'am paper.
Okay. I can explain the paper because
Yes ma'am, I'll give presenter rights to Sarala ma'am, your co-author.
Okay.
Yeah, but we cannot read what is presented.
We are changing the presenter now, ma'am.
Sarala ma'am, you can present now.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So coming to the problem statement,
but we can't see the presentation. You need to share the presentation.
Sarala ma'am, you can present now. I've given the presenting rights to you, ma'am.
There is an option called a share in the bottom. You need any help?
Share is not enabled for me. No, ma'am, you can share, ma'am.
On the bottommost corner, you will see. I request all other to please mute. We can hear the echo. Yes, Ella ma'am, please confirm, are you able to present or you need any help? Paper ID 233, please, can you confirm, any one of you?
Ma'am, she said to me she will save the screen, ma'am. She will present now, ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm not able to share the screen. Sarna ma'am, there is no problem for our side. We have given you the presenter rights. Please check, there will be a share icon on your screen.
You may need to maximize the screen and check.
Not enable.
Can you ask her to speak whether her audio is audible?
Ma'am, can you speak? I'll just text you.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay. Coming to the implementation,
but actually we are not seeing any presentation. Do you want to share the presentation?
Because Sarala, you gave rights to Sarala ma'am for presenting and speaking.
But what the audience have to see while you are speaking? We need a presentation to be there, right?
Okay.
I think we will park this presentation for later. We will move on to the next presentation, Shri Raksha.
Yes, ma'am, we can go on. I'll ask them to mail me. I'll only present at the end of the session, ma'am.
Yes, so you can make me the presenter right now. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Next paper ID 248. Please, whoever is not presenting, please, I request you to mute. We'll move on to the next paper presentation, which is paper ID 248. Paper title Human-Computer Interaction System using eye tracking features. And the presenters are Jayashree and Jyoti.
Paper ID 248. Ankita ma'am.
Paper ID 248, please confirm if you can hear us. Do we have any other author from the paper ID 248?
No, ma'am, we don't have.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one.
Yes, ma'am.
Paper ID 253. Please confirm if you are available.
Please raise your hands.
Paper ID 253.
Yes, ma'am, they are here, ma'am.
They are here. Can you make me the presenter? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Paper ID 253. Ma'am, you can present now.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are audible. Yeah. So paper ID 253, paper title Design of Real-Time Train Control and Management System, authors Ritu and Tanusha. Please go ahead, paper ID 253.
Yes, ma'am. 1 minute.
Yeah, we can see the presentation. Yeah. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. Today we are here to present our work on design of a real-time train control and management system. I would like to thank IEEE and B-HTC 2020 for accepting our research work to the conference. This work was done with co-authors Dr. Annapurna Patil, Ritu Sinha, Pandana, and Shriya Rajachavan. This work is a part of component where we try to check the design concept and then implement it in a case study. To introduce the work, it's always felt that design is a key part of any implementation system. The architecture of the system describes its major components, relationships, and its interactions amongst the various subsystems. Architecture design thus constitutes an important phase in the development of time-critical systems as it prevents further mishaps due to incorrect structural or functional properties and thus prevents major calamities. An example for the time-critical system is the train control and management system. Therefore, the design documentation of a train system is of paramount importance. The aim of this work is to propose the design of a smart system which provides various functions while confirming the standards imposed for the rail travel and centralized communication system. We also provide a first-level design and implementation of the human-machine interface system, which is integrated with the train software. In the literature survey, we came across various works that talk about the communication train-based system. They've executed numerous techniques, functionalities, and integrated those in appropriate systems to provide a safe and modernized platform for the passengers. The system architecture. Here, there are various subsystems involved in this architecture that's connected to the main communication system to provide better communication between the crew, passenger, and for the better management of the system. So first, we have the monitoring system. In the duration of the train journey, various values such as train speed, brake status, tank levels, and traction status need to be tracked and reported to the train crew to ensure secure travel. Then we have the diagnostic system. Here, the data which is obtained from the sensors of the monitoring system needs to be processed, and based on these values, warnings need to be generated and communicated to the crew. And then we have the public announcement system. This subsystem is used as a method of communication between the train crew and the various coaches of the train. The train crew here can use the system to relay information to various coaches of the train. Then we have the CCTV system. This subsystem is mainly used for surveillance. Thus, any anomaly in any compartment of the train will be reported to the security via the train communication network. The security takes appropriate action to ensure maximum safety of its passengers. We then have the human-machine interface system. This subsystem, it consists of an interactive display that can be used to display information to the train drivers or the crew members. And then we have the vigilance control system. This system consists of the dead man switch and has a direct connection with the emergency brake system. On the chance of the driver losing consciousness, the emergency brake system is activated and the train is halted, ensuring extra protection. Then we have the passenger information system. Subsystem, the passenger information and ticket records are obtained by the train crew and the HMI for the duration of the train. This information is read-only, thus ensuring no alteration of data for the duration of the journey. Then we have the train communication network. Here, various subsystems must be integrated and communication must take place between the subsystems to ensure proper functioning. Then to last, we have the automation system. This subsystem performs various automations such as door automation, lights automation, and automation of the HVAC system. HVAC here is the heat, ventilation, air cooling system. So the diagram here, it represents various use cases of the proposed system. The actors involved include the train crew, various sensors, the passengers, as well as the platform, that's the wayside. Coming to the technical error, in case of an error being detected, the sensor readings are transmitted to the diagnostic system, which detects the error and transmits the alert through the communication network to the human-machine interface. Thus, the required action can be taken by the crew. These sensors, it can be the tank level being low, brake temperature being high, the sensor error, network error, and so on. Then we have the passenger communication. The public announcement allows the passenger communication so the crew can make announcements to the passenger. We have speakers that are present in every coach and transmit the required message to the passengers from the crew. Then we have the CCTV surveillance system, which allows the surveillance throughout the train, and any anomaly detected can be transmitted to the train communication network as an alert to the crew, which then they can perform the required action. The communication between the train crew and the platform can be used for vital information. For example, the wayside can communicate with the train through the signaling systems in order to provide information regarding platform or path rerouting. The train can also communicate to the platform through the human-machine interface for providing information in case of emergencies or time delay. Then we have the automation subsystem that's used for the doors, light, and cooling systems. It's present on the train and therefore allowing passengers to enjoy the comfortable journey of the train. Emergency support is also provided in the form of a vigilance control system, where if the driver is detected to have lost consciousness, the emergency brake system is directly activated and the train comes to a halt. The passenger information system allows for the information retrieval of the passenger on board of the train that can generate a detailed report and can be used for the search of specific ticket ID. Then we have the activity diagram. The activity diagram here illustrates the flow control in a system. Here, once the passenger's ticket has been verified, the train starts and all the systems that are running in parallel get activated. All the systems here have their respective functions. Like if there's an error that's been detected by the monitoring system, an alert is sent to the train communication network. Similarly, all the other systems respond and send their alerts to the train communication network. Everything here gets displayed on the human-machine interface, and also we have certain systems that get activated only when necessary. Like we have the automation system, the public announcement, and the passenger information system. Then we have the data flow diagram. In the data flow diagram, all the processes are centered around the train communication. Are centered around the train communication network. Here we track the passengers using the passenger information system. Then the data is generated in the data here is generated in the passenger information system, the CCTV footage, and the sensors. The data that's generated from the sensors are converted to readable format and sent to the diagnostic system. Then the implementation. Here we present a first level design and implementation of the human machine interface system. This consists of various components. Firstly, we have a single passenger information that can be retrieved and reports can be generated using the passenger information system. Then we have the human machine interface view where the CCTV stream footage can be viewed and you can detect anomalies. Then we have the route that can be viewed through a page that contains the route map. Then the diagnostic and different values such as the brake temperature, connections front to the platform, and so on can be viewed. And most importantly, we show that this system can be executed to provide other functionalities and therefore can allow for a continuous evaluation of the train. To conclude, I would say that design documentation is a scientific component of software development. This component is paramount in time-critical systems like the train control system. This system has been constructed considering the issues present in the current railway system. Thus, it successfully contracts the issues encountered while enabling the development and integration of new technology. The system can be implemented in the future when integrated with current hardware that's present in various train systems like trams and metros. The multiple checks placed on the system upholds and ensures the safety standards of the train. Now we'll move on to the implementation of the system.
Dhanusha, we can't hear you.
Ma'am, 1 minute. I'm just trying to share my screen.
Yeah.
Ma'am, is the screen visible?
Yes, it's visible now. Thanks.
Okay. So this represents the login page where the user will log into the system. A maximum of three incorrect login attempts are allowed, and if this is exceeded, then it would result in system shutting down.
I request non-presenters to please mute yourself. Yeah.
Then we have the surveillance here. This can be viewed where the CCTV stream footage can be seen. This can be seen through the human-machine interface. And then we have the passengers information. Here we can see, we can search for specific data as well. So when we go for search and we enter a ticket ID, the passenger's details has been displayed, and when a ticket that is not present is searched, it shows us an error. And then we can see the route. This is the route map that's present. And then we have the diagnostic system. This information is generated by the sensor. It can be viewed and analyzed by the system. Here we can see the brake temperature, the train speed, and so on. And apart from this, we can
just a time check. Like you need to wind off the presentation. Yeah, at least.
Yeah. And this is a message that's been sent to the station in case of an emergency. So, thank you.
Thanks for the presentation. We'll open up for Q&A.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yeah. So one question which I have is like how that when we say it's a surveillance system, we have so many passengers coming in and out, almost like thousands of passengers travel at a particular time and on a particular day. So how intelligent is the system to analyze that information? And what is that intelligence built into the system so that huge amount of data can be taken care?
Right. Now, when we tell that the CCTV surveillance is being tracked, all this information is sent to the human-machine interface where the crew can view. So, the CCTV system is actually currently in design, and the anomaly system can be put into place.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next presentation.
Ma'am,
can you confirm? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have collected the paper, ma'am. They can't present. Yes, ma'am. I'll just share the screen, ma'am. They can explain, ma'am. Punya, ma'am, can explain, ma'am.
I can explain.
Puneet, just a time check. Maybe you can continue from the slide where you left on because we have limited time at our end. Yeah.
We'll just look into the introduction part.
Yeah.
Okay, so the proposal.
Ma'am, give me a minute. I'm just presenting, please.
Yeah.
Shreya, you need any help?
No, ma'am, it's just loading.
Okay.
Ma'am, we are left with another paper
48.
Yes, ma'am. But Ankita ma'am is not in the attendee list, ma'am. I also pinged it in the WhatsApp.
Yeah, so paper ID 248, if anyone of you is available, please confirm to Shreya in the chat window.
Okay.
Yeah, please, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Our paper titled Robust Smart Irrigation System Using Hydroponic Farming Based on Data Science and IoT. So I'm Puneet, I'm presenting, and my co-authors are Sarala SM and Sharmila Sutar. In our proposed work, we have designed a automated hydroponic smart irrigation system, which helps farmers to plant, helps the farmers in plantation with nutrient solvent water instead of soil. So it is more applicable for metropolitan cities and urban cities where there is lack of scarcity of water, soil, nutrients, and other calamities. So hydroponic farming technique reduces the need for more water and space, and it requires minimal knowledge of farming as well. And it uses a nutrient film technique, which is more prevalent technique in which nutrients are dissolved with a shallow stream of water and it is added to the roots of the plant. So now, in order to, how we are going to make it more automated is, an IoT system is one which is more smart and it accesses the internet for processing and storage as well as having a user interface. So this hydroponic farming system is a level 3 IoT system-based system, wherein which locally we are collecting all the data from the sensors being connected, which senses different parameters like it can be a temperature sensor, the pH level, the water level content, and the soil moisture content. All that has to be checked. So the sensors will be connected to the form in the form, and the data will be collected from the sensors, and it will be processed using Raspberry Pi. And the interconnection of the above mentioned parameter sensors is connected is sent to the user. The data is sent to the cloud server via HTTP. So it gives the Raspberry Pi data to the cloud via HTTP, which works on get and post methods. So here ThinkSpeak is an open source application of IoT which generates APIs to store the information from the Raspberry Pi to the cloud in order to retrieve the information from the cloud using HTTP protocol over the internet. Then the ThinkSpeak processes the data and displays that in the GUI. So the data, the state and art of the farm, what is the condition of the plant, what is the growth of the plant, what is there any requirement of the water, what is the water level content, and in turn, based on the moisture content, the plants will be watered automatically by the water. So the state of the condition of that particular farming system will be known to the user via user interface web server. So in turn, based on the condition, the user can take a particular decision and can react upon it. So here, this Raspberry HTTP, this ThinkSpeak, which processes the data and displays in the GUI, will provide the application for the users for easier integration using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which can be embedded inside a website or inside the ThinkSpeak channel. This communication happens among the devices in the proposed IoT system using MQTT, which is an standard ISO-based protocol, which is based on public subscribed messaging protocol. So here, which works on the top of TCP/IP protocol. So an MQTT server comprises of 4 stages. That is, in order to have a communication, so initially the communication has to be happened by handshaking technique. That the connection is happened between the master as well as the slave. Then the authentication between the 2 parties to communicate, and the communication happens. And once the communication is finished, it has to be terminated. So MQTT is comprises of 4 stages. That is connection, authentication, communication, and termination. So here machine learning algorithms are used to build a mathematical model based on the sample of data that is collected as training data in order to make predictions or take decisions without explicitly programming to perform the task. So here what the random forest algorithm technique is being used, which is a supervised classification algorithm of machine learning. This machine learning technique is used to in the proposed work to predict the plant height and better yield, and can be used to identify and correct the combination of components used in the plantation to identify growth in order to improve the yield. So this random forest technique involves two stages, that is creating a pseudocode, and also second step is incorporating the pseudocode to perform the prediction of the plant yield. So here in our work, we have proposed a smart irrigation system which involves less experience as well as less space. And here we are not using soil for irrigation. A nutrient solvent water will be distributed to the roots of the plants, and you can see the pictorial representation of our proposed work, where this is a farming system where actually the plants have been grown, and there is a piping line where the nutrient solvent water, that is hydroponic water, will be supplied to the roots of the plants, and in turn the prediction of the growth of this plant will be known via the sensor. These sensors are different sensors which will check the pH level content, the soil moisture content, the temperature content, the water level content. All these are the sensors used for checking different parameters, and all the data that is retrieved by these sensors will be transferred to the Raspberry Pi, and this Raspberry Pi in turn does the processing of the data and displays the state and art of the condition of the plant, which in turn the cloud is the data is also stored in the cloud, which will be used for further processing. And here ThinkSpeak is being used, as I discussed previously. And here one in the literature we have a lot of work that is being proposed in the previous work, where they have discussed upon different farming techniques. Like one of the papers by Muhammad Iqbal Anif says that the title of the paper, IoT implementation for indoor vertical farming watering system. So here the main purpose of their work is to build a system to monitor the soil moisture and to control water content to the web browser. So here also in our work also we have incorporated the same technique. And also one more paper says aims to build a self-controlled automated hydroponic farming. But LabVIEW here is used to monitor and automate the process. But one more paper speaks on the hydroponic ecosystem, that is the IoT devices to monitor the parameters, and Arduino is used as a controller. In our technique, we are used Raspberry Pi as a controller for processing, and also hydroponic farming technique is being used, and we have made it more smart and using machine learning algorithm technique, so that the condition or state of art of the plant, what is the growth of the plant, is being checked by the data collected using machine learning algorithm. And here random forest technique is being used, wherein which it predicts the height of the plant in turn takes proper measures in order to assist the farmers in increasing the yield of the plant. So here as a future work in this in our proposed work, as a future work, we might also discuss, you can just look into some of the pictures of the results, and where we have plotted the data that has been collected from different sensors, automatically collected sensor data, and which is been displayed in the form of a table, wherein which you can see the condition. Each and every 10 seconds the data of the sensors will be captured, and it will be processed using Raspberry Pi, and in turn it will be stored in the web server as well. And the pictures of the plant will be taken, and a training set will be developed, and in turn it will random forest technique predicts the height of the tech by prediction and decision taking. So in turn, our proposed work is now helping out farmers in order to assist the urban farmers who have less experience of farming, as well as less space, and also soil, and also the soil which is not much nutrient as well. So for this, hydroponic farming technique is being used, which uses NFT technique, that is nutrient film technique, which is having a nutrient dissolved water will be planted to the roots of the plant, in turn which helps in better growth of the plant. And machine learning technique is being used in order to predict the height of our. And as a future scope of our work, we can incorporate image processing technique for further checking the yield as well as the disease, in order to predict the disease of the plants. So image processing technique can also be used to predict the diseases of the plants by capturing the images of plants and doing the analysis by using different classification algorithms. We can do that. So this is the explanation of the work what we have discussed in this paper. So any questions you can just ask.
Yes, thanks. We will open up for Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question. How do we ensure in this methodology or the framework that you are proposing, you are using too many sensors? So how do we ensure and build knowledge among the farmers that the crop should be protected against the radiations produced by these sensors?
Sensors.
Do you have? Yeah.
Using ultrasonic based sensors where the effect is much less on the plants, and also all the parameters has to be checked. So like we need to check what is the temperature of that environment, and it is what is the pH level of the soil content, as well as the moisture content we need to know. All that has to be checked, otherwise it cannot in order to check what's the condition of the plant, we have to use all these sensors.
Okay.
And also what kind of sensor
yeah.
also has to be used.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
sure, we can hear you.
Ma'am, there is some issue with paper 253, ma'am. I got a message. We need to wait for 2 minutes, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. We can wait. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. We are able to take a group pic because I have 1 o'clock there's some urgent meeting schedule. I've been waiting for this. So should we go ahead with it?
Do we have the presentation? Yes, that's a good idea. Do we have the presenters for the last paper? Even we need them.
Ma'am, they are here.
Yeah.
But I couldn't make them as panelists, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. But we'll hold on for the group photo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Supriya Chengappa here. Seems like she is having some issues.
Okay.
Just she had called me and I had shared some tips for her to connect back. So let us give her a minute and then we can wrap up.
Yeah. Thanks, Chengappa.
No audio. I'm not able to hear anything. Supriya?
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, we have been just told to wait for the paper ID 248. They are having issues with the platform.
Okay.
Yeah. Any inputs for me?
Once again, Supriya. Ankita, I hope you can hear us now. And also you have the unmuted from our side. Can you speak? Ankita, if you are able to hear us, please respond on the chat window. We have allowed you the mute unmute option as well.
I think they have issues, Annapurna Patil here.
Yeah, ma'am. See, looks like some challenges connecting to the WebEx, but however...
Sadhana madam, if things are fine, can we push this one paper for tomorrow presentation? We can accommodate like that, I suppose.
I think we can do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No, Chengappa, you cannot solve it today?
In fact, I am trying. I did emphasize the same method to use when they had joined via the dry run, but I am not sure what is happening. So need to look into it. So,
No issues. I think.
Yeah, otherwise we can shift it to tomorrow also, no problem.
Because
Tomorrow
we
7
started.
papers are there, it will be 8 papers.
Yeah.
But Supriya, you have to inform.
We will keep Vijayalakshmi. Yeah, we'll keep her posted.
You can send a mail with a copy to her and with a copy to me. That this paper was not presented today.
Yes.
It will be presented tomorrow like that.
Yeah, sure, we'll do that. So paper ID 248 will be presented tomorrow. Yeah. So maybe we can conclude. Ma'am, over to you, Sadhna ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Sadhna ma'am, also please keep Puneet in the loop so that he is aware.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So Changappa, you can also join. Let us take a group photo. You can switch on the camera. Whoever is available, please switch on the camera.
Hello. Hello, Supriya ma'am. Hello. Supriya ma'am. Hello.
I can hear you.
Ma'am, paper ID 253. Is that completed, ma'am? I don't think so.
Paper ID 253 is completed.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Okay.
All are completed except paper ID 248.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have another doubt. In this list, the authors' names were different, ma'am, for 248.
This is the list you're talking about. Right now, I am sharing my screen. So if you see,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. In this PPT,
this is paper title. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. In this list, the authors' name are different, ma'am. The authors' name were Jayashree Jyoti Kulkarni.
Yeah, this is Jayashree Jyoti Kulkarni, Amrita.
Yes, ma'am.
Pokale, right?
But the name was Ankita, ma'am. Ankita Kulkarni. I got confused, ma'am.
Oh, here, but the actual author list, it is Jyoti Kulkarni, right? So we are having the right information, yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so, yeah, maybe that we can get sorted out with the authors today, and then we can have them to present tomorrow, yeah?
Yes, ma'am. There is a conflict. Ma'am, give me a minute and make all attendees as panelists so that they can open their camera.
Yeah, sure. Please show that. Yeah, thank you.
But in the host, I think you'll be able to arrange, I think, no? The photographs.
Yes, ma'am.
No, whether you'll be arranged, all of them should come in that when you are, because when I am seeing it, I am finding only some people on the thing.
Yeah, because other
people I can see, but in the host, I think you'll be able to arrange it. You can pin them, I think.
Yeah. So, Sriraksha, you have to do that because you are the host currently.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So maybe I'll stop sharing.
Yes, ma'am. You have to stop sharing.
Yeah. Even your screen is shared with the last presentation. Yeah.
No, you can put that V-track slide, no, at the front, at the center. Supriya, you had made a PowerPoint, no? That first slide you can put it.
Sure, I'll do that.
Supriya, my back.
Ma'am, I can't view all the faces.
Chingappa, can you help in?
Chingappa sir, I made you as a host. Can you please take the snapshot, sir?
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. Just hold on. So for that, you need to go to the grid view. Pratigya, if you can focus your video feed. So we are not seeing video feed. Okay, anyways, I would just go ahead and. No, I did. Sriracha, I shared it with you. Please share it with everyone.
Okay.
Just make sure if I want to take the snapshot once again.
Yeah, sir. Give me a minute, sir. Yes, sir. Once again, sir. Some of them are closed.
Are we good?
Yes, we are good. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on. Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Chingappa, for your support.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. So on behalf of the IEEE and IEEE Bangalore Section, I would like to thank all the participants who have come and presented the paper. I would also like to thank Supriya, who has hosted this, and Sriraksha, who was the coordinator. And I would also like to thank Dr. Annapurna, who is the TPC chair of this week.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you also.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Now
Yeah.
let us
Good day.
more. Yeah. Good day.
Good day.
Thank you.
Supriya, ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, can I stop recording, ma'am?
Yes, you can stop recording now.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, thank you, Sriraksha. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So we'll connect later. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.